Hello and welcome to the Bay Cycleway, or National Cycle Network's Route 700. This video is part 1 of a 2-part series, which shows our journey from Barrow-in-Furness up in Cumbria down to Glasson Dock down in Lancashire. On day 1 we ride around 45 miles, from Barrow to our accommodation for the night on the outskirts of Grange over Sands. As you can see from the profile below the map, there's quite a few hills to conquer on this leg of our journey. The route starts on the coast at the end of Sandy Gap Lane on Walney Island in Barrow-in-Furness. You are then taken through the town with lots of twists and turns. In the weeks leading up to the ride, I used Google Street Maps to memorise the route through the town, as far as Morrison's car park anyway. In hindsight, although memorising the route was useful, the path through the town was pretty well signposted anyway. Route 700, or the Bay Cycleway, was opened in June 2015, so it's a relatively new addition to the National Cycle Network, and this may be the first that you've seen or heard of it, as it does not appear to get much coverage online or in the press. Nonetheless, it is a great route with a variety of attractions, views and interesting towns and villages throughout its length. In recent years, a significant amount of money has been spent on coastal towns and villages in order to improve them, improve their facilities and make them more appealing to visitors. I recently read that there were plans to build a cycle cafe at the start of the route at Sandy Gap and then add hire and charging points for electric bikes along the route. When we were there we didn't notice a cafe, but it may be up and running by now if not in the near future. We're still navigating through Barrow, a town that has had numerous improvements over the years. Historically, it was known for its iron and steel workings as well as shipbuilding, but after World War II, when the iron and steel working industries declined, Vickers Shipbuilding and Engineering was left as the largest employer in the area. Today, BEA Systems continue to operate its shipyards in Barrow, and it is expanding due to a submarine building programme. You will actually pass some of the BEA Systems sheds as you navigate through the town. The route meanders its way through town and down to Morrison's car park by Devonshire Dock. Here you can stop for supplies or even take a comfort break, before heading out on the route again. Soon after exiting Morrison's car park and riding beside the dock, we join Cavendish Dock Road. I assume it's not named after Mark Cavendish, but it's nice to imagine that part of the National Cycle Route is named after such a great sprinter. After turning east we join the Westfield Trail and ride along the wall of the reservoir near Roosecote Sands. This first part of the route was quite busy, with walkers, cyclists and dogs, all enjoying the great weather we had. Following the coastal road, you can look out to your right over the marshes and sandbanks, towards the Irish Sea. You may even be lucky enough to have time to stop and take in some of the wildlife. Terns, curlew and oyster catchers can often be seen in the area, and sometimes even grey seals put in an appearance. This peculiar structure is Rampside Lighthouse, also known as the Needle. It is a navigation beacon located on the foreshore of Rampside. It was erected in 1875 and is the only surviving example of 13 such beacons built around Barrow during the late 19th century to aid vessels navigate into the port. Just after the Needle, the route continues to run parallel to the shore on a reasonably good quality road, which still wasn't too busy when we passed through. The views to the right of the coastal road across the bay are fantastic and make the hill climbing to come worthwhile. This part of the run along the coast has a slight downhill gradient, making it pretty zippy. Shortly after a fast section of the coastal road, we turn inland, towards Goads, Barrow, Lees and Drendon. This is easy to miss, well for me anyway, as I sped past the sign, and then John had to contact me on the walkie-talkie to tell me to turn around. As we follow the route inland, we ride along some great little country lanes. They are not very busy at all, and along with some quaint little cottages are quite picturesque. In some areas, tall roadside hedgerow can make seeing further ahead difficult, so don't take too many risks on the descents and around the blind corners. The route has mile upon mile of lanes like this to travel through during the first leg of the Bay Cycleway. This route was actually discovered by one of my I cycle, but not with you friends, Donny, who told me about it towards the end of 2015 I think, so you can thank her for us undertaking this ride. The gent speeding past me now is obviously a touring professional, so there's no way I could have kept up with him. The route goes through a number of quaint little villages, with picturesque cottages and village greens. It's very enjoyable and reflects a different pace of life. One of the great things about being out in the country lanes and on bridle paths is that you run into a diverse assortment of people out enjoying what they have to offer. After a significant amount of miles have been ridden, John decides to protect me from the wind and pace the ride for a while, then soon gives up and accelerates away. A quick descent down to and through Bardsey once again sees us riding along a coastal road. Bardsey is a lovely little village in the Low-Furness area of Cumbria. It is a couple of miles to the south-east of Ulverston on the northern coast of the Morecambe Bay. Apparently, it lies within the historic borders of Lancashire. The descent through the village isn't too technical and the roads aren't too bad either. The final part of descent is a long one and it takes you down to the coastal road where we turn left and head to Ulverston. The road into Ulverston was quite busy, traffic-wise. This is probably due to the tourism and the fact that it's one of the largest towns in the area. Although saying that, the traffic wasn't travelling too fast, and generally the drivers gave us plenty of space when overtaking. On reaching Ulverston we had a quick snack stop. Sarah had managed to pick up some sandwiches and some drinks from a local co-op. After the stop, the journey through the town was uneventful, but on leaving you start to really see some hills. I guess this is where the climbing really starts. We go up as we climb out of the town, and then we go up some more. After making the initial climb out of Ulverston, we hit some parts of the route, which is a bit of a roller coaster in appearance, with some minor undulating ups and downs in the terrain. The undulating terrain is interspersed with some flat sections to give your legs a rest. Please enjoy some more of the quiet country lanes and high hedges as we travel through the countryside while I go and get a drink. After some more climbing we hit some flat sections. This enables us to compose ourselves before the next descent. On this descent you can get a fair idea of what I meant when I said some of the hedgerows were a little high and they are limiting your visibility of the road ahead. There is a slightly technical descent through the village of Grange as we head down to the bridge which will take us over the River Leven. Once you reach the T-junction at the bottom of the descent, you will need to head over the road and down a short path through some woodland. After going under the A590 and a clever bit of under, up and over along with a very sharp switchback, you will be taken up from the trail onto a cycle path and then across a bridge over the River Leven. A notice advises that cyclists should dismount. Unless there are other users on the bridge or you want to take a few snaps, it's not really essential. As the scene was so nice and I was still waiting for John to finish his descent, I decided to pan the camera around a little bit.
Where are you now? Just gonna go to the park. It's really steady here.
Once we had crossed over the river, we hit some off-road trails which were pretty well surfaced and are really easy going. Although I'm not quite sure why this big lump is in the middle of the trail, but it did make for an interesting feature. These tracks between patches of farmland were reasonably flat and we made some good time on them. Even the minor climbs through the woodland were easy to overcome and not too stressful at all. All was going reasonably well until we met our nemesis of the day, Lowood Climb. According to Strava it's a 10% climb, however Strava, you're wrong. It was just over a mile of sheer hell, so much so that we stopped and had a picnic about 2/3 the way up. Many power bars and gels were consumed. Eventually, through riding, pushing, crawling and having yet another break, we beat the hill and headed down the other side. After a series of roller coaster like lanes, we eventually hit a proper descent which took us down into Cartmel. Here, the village store offered further sustenance to weary travellers. Passing the Cartmel signpost was a great relief. After a quick break and a photo session at Cartmel, we met up with a few of our subscribers for a pleasant afternoon ride around Cumbria and its picturesque villages. It was good to meet so many of our subscribers on one ride, and we thought we were in for a great afternoon of cycling. However, after travelling only a few hundred yards with them, it turned out that after offering to sign autographs that they weren't subscribers at all and had never even heard of Cycle Routes, so awkwardly we parted ways at the next junction. Back on the route once again and taking in our surroundings, it didn't take too long to forget the awkward situation with the bunch of riders only a few minutes earlier. so on we rode. A quick descent into Allithwaite leads us down to Jack Hill, which is the last testing hill of the day. Even the Google Street image for this road shows cyclists pushing up the hill, so it is to be expected. Once we reach the top of Jack Hill, the road is well surfaced, and it allows us to pick up some speed as we head down into Grange over Sands. The views across the bay here are spectacular as we go whizzing down the road. After a few twists and turns as we travel through the town, we eventually hit a large roundabout. It's on this roundabout that I find Sarah directing traffic in the middle of Grange over Sands. We have a quick fluid top up and stretch our legs before heading out on a reasonably flat 5-mile journey to our accommodation for the evening, which is the Derby Arms at Witherslag. As we retrace our final few miles of the tour of the Bay Cycleway, day 1, let's have a look at the scores. For time taken, we awarded the Bay Cycleway 5 wheels. We had almost 8 hours out and about, touring the beautiful scenic Cumbrian countryside. We rode for a total of 44 miles on this leg of the Bay Cycleway, so we awarded this stage 5 wheels out of 5 for the distance. The terrain is variable, with bits of flat coastal road, some big near huge climbs, fast descents, and with undulating stretches linking all of this together, and it is both on and off the road. We awarded terrain 4 wheels. Be prepared to push the bikes once in a while, or work on your climbing skills before you set off. We awarded technical difficulty just 2 wheels out of 5. There is nothing too technical throughout the ride, except maybe the faster descents that have a few sharp corners or twists and turns. Overall, we awarded our Tour of the Bay Cycleway Day 1 a score of 3 wheels. The scenery is fantastic, the route is well signed, and not so busy that it would spoil your enjoyment. This is a great route if you are new to multi-day touring, or just looking to experience a selection of terrain features in beautiful surroundings, with plenty of villages and cafes to stop at en route. The hills are challenging places and the descents are pretty fun. The Bay Cycleway from Walney Island to Glasson Dock is a fantastic 2-day cycling adventure for those wanting to experience the great scenery but not the hills. The second day from Grange over Sands to Glasson Dock may be worth considering. This is a much flatter leg of the journey and will be available in a future video, so stay tuned to the channel.
Rear squares, where are you? In the route, over.
If you enjoyed the video, please like and share. If you would like to see more of the routes that we cycle, then please subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to use the comments section below. If you would like to see another video straight away, there will be links to 3 more on the screen for you now. Until next time, stay safe on those trails and thanks for watching.